Following his father's death, Zach, Cooper and his mother Gale relocate from New York City to Madison, Delaware. Zach meets his next-door neighbor Hannah, whose overprotective father warns him to stay away. Zach befriends Champ, a frightened but nice kid, the next morning at the local high school when Gale is presented as the new vice principal. Hannah takes Zach to an abandoned amusement park that night to get to know each other. When Hannah returns home, her father tells him to keep away or awful things would happen. Later, Gale is called away to monitor a school dance, leaving Zach in the care of his aunt Lorraine. Zach baits Hannah's father into going to the police because he fears she is in danger. While he and Champ make their way into his mansion, they discover a bookcase full of sealed documents, each one recording Goosebumps entries. Zach unlocks the Abominable Snowman of Pasadena in response to Champ's curiosity, and the story's title monster appears and escapes. They trace the Abominable Snowman to a nearby ice rink, where Hannah's father emerges, and trap it in the book with Hannah's aid. Hannah's father accidentally reveals himself to be R.L. Stine, the author of the Goosebumps franchise. He composed the stories to cope with harsh bullying, but the monsters in them became real as a result of his imagination, compelling him to confine them in their home writings. Back at home, they run upon Slappy the dummy from the Night of the Living Dummy series, who has been liberated from his text. Slappy, seeking vengeance on Stine for his imprisonment, incinerates his manuscript, leaving no alternative method to re-incarcerate the monsters, before fleeing with the others to the haunted car. The titular gnomes from Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes assault Stine and the kids, forcing them to flee. Slappy unleashes a slew of his fellow demons, wreaking havoc on Madison. Meanwhile, Fifi the vampire poodle from Please Don't Feed the Vampire attacks Lorraine. Zach persuades Stine to trap the monsters with a single document, but only with his magical typewriter, which is now on exhibit at the high school. They are ambushed along the way by Brent Green from My Best Friend is Invisible and the enormous mantis from A Shocker on Shock Street, forcing them to seek refuge in a store. Will Blake, the werewolf of Fever Swamp, follows them to the parking lot. Stine and the kids visit a graveyard, where Zach witnesses Hannah transform into a ghost in the moonlight before being assaulted by the titular creatures from Attack of the Graveyard Ghouls. When Stine arrives at the school, he tells Zach that Hannah is actually Hannah Fairchild from the ghost next door, and that he invented her to deal with his loneliness, but Hannah is ignorant of this. Stine starts writing a novel based on what is going on around them, while Zach and Champ try to warn everyone, but no one believes them until the mantis assaults the building. Slappy then orders the release of the remaining monsters, who assault the school. Despite the school's personnel and kids' best attempts to keep the monsters out, they break in. Slappy tracks down Stine, shattering his fingers with the typewriter's casing before completing the story. Stine and the kids fool the monsters into pursuing an explosive rigged school bus while they board another and travel to the abandoned amusement park. As the other monsters come, Slappy realizes he's been duped and follows them down, releasing the blob from the blob that ate everyone. Stine fights it and is consumed, while the trio take cover in the park's Ferris wheel, where Zach concludes the narrative moments before the structure is broken by the mantis and rolls into the forest. After surviving the trauma, Zach refuses to open the story's manuscript for fear of being pulled in, but Hannah reveals she already knew the truth about herself and opens it, pulling the monsters into it and kissing Zach. Stine subsequently starts working as a substitute teacher at the school while also beginning a relationship with Lorraine.